This is J. Krishnamurti's third public talk in Bombay, 1971.
I think there is only one fundamental question, which is how to live in this world with intelligence, sanity, with great affection, beauty, in spite of all our complications, or how to live so that we have no problems at all. How to live a life that has depth, that in the very living there is significance, a life that is without conflict, a very sane, healthy life with freedom and great intelligence. If we could answer this question, not merely verbally or intellectually, either saying that it is not possible to live in this world with sanity, with beauty, without any pretense, without all this frightful conflict and misery. If we could put this question to ourselves and find out for ourselves a way of living. And that, it seems to me, is the most important thing. Because without having right relationship with man, a harmonious, rational, balanced life in relationship, without understanding that and living it, merely to become a sannyasi, follow the latest craze, do some kind of penance, sing and dance and do all that kind of business that goes on. If we could find out a way of living where there is really a great deal of love, intelligence, beauty, then perhaps we shall be able to find out for ourselves, not through somebody else, if there is something beyond time, something which is not within the field of everyday strife. And this evening, if we could, we might perhaps devote this whole hour to find out for ourselves how to live, with real understanding, with great sense of beauty, with a great sense of human understanding, in which there is no conflict in relationship. If we could, this evening, spend some time on that, then perhaps we can go on from there to find out for ourselves what meditation is. If there is such thing as truth, as a reality. But first, we must lay the foundation. Not the foundation of another, however wise or however caught up in illusion or full of his own experience. But if we could lay this foundation in our own lives, in the life of our daily existence, if we could do that, do you know what a world that would be? Not a utopian world, not an ideological world, but a world of sanity. A world in which there is no war, no division between those who know and those who do not know, those who pretend enlightenment and those who are seeking enlightenment, those who assert that there is and those who assert that there is not. So, if you will, let's find out if we can change entirely our way of living. First of all, we must look at this whole existence, our whole fragmentation of which we call living, in which is included the earning of a livelihood, in which there is this problem of conflict, physical pain, and the psychological mounting sorrow, the thing that we call love, joy, pleasure, fear, anxiety, and understand what it means to die, living and dying, the whole of that, not just one fragment of it. That's why we must look, observe the whole field of our existence, not just one corner of it, not just how to earn a livelihood, or just escape from this into some illusion, but to consider together this whole phenomenon of existence in which all the things are included. We are, as we now are, we have great many, we are composed of many fragments. We are made up of many men, the good, the bad, the greedy, the ambitious, the one that is in sorrow and the one that is seeking the understanding and the escape from sorrow. This fragmentation not only inwardly but also outwardly. We are all that because we are the world. And the world is us. The society is made, put together by us. And though we are caught in it, we are part of it. We have constructed it. And we have to understand this whole phenomenon of existence. So let us look first at our lives, your life. Not the life of any saint, not the life described in any book, not the life of your favorite guru, not the life that you want to live, but the actual daily life, the monotony of it, the boredom of it, the loneliness of it, the fear of it, the aggression, the violence, the sexual pleasures, the fear, the joy, the shallow mind, the shoddy life, the unthinking acceptance, imitation, conformity, all that is our life, the daily life of your day. And that's what we have to understand. And in the very process of understanding, see if we can bring about a radical change in all that. Whether it is at all possible to end all sorrow in our life. To be free from all fear. To find out for ourselves what it means to love. And the thing that so many are afraid, which is death. All that is our life. So we have to look first what actually is and not get frightened about it or feel there is no hope or that there is hope. We have to first look at it Can you look at your life? Do please listen to what is being said. Look at your own life. And if you do look, one finds, doesn't one, a great sense of striving, of insufficiency, conformity, fear, the pursuit of pleasure. Don't you find this? That your life as it is lived, whether you are aware of it or not, is bound with fear, with anxiety, great sense of loneliness, and utter boredom. And not being able to solve this, we run away from it. We run away to temples, read Gita, or listen to the commentaries made by the professionals about the Gita, or accept what your gurus say. So that is our life. And is it possible to change it at all? Not only the outward circumstances, but the inner structure which has created the outer. Is it possible to radically change the psychological nature of ourselves? If it is not possible, then you have no energy. You understand? If it is possible, you are full of energy. We have concluded that it is not possible, that we cannot possibly totally change. We have got into the habit of living with fear, living with sorrow, hiding ourselves from our own secret miseries. And so we have made life into something which we think is not possible to change. And therefore we escape from that central issue. Right? And we're going to find out, if we can this evening, whether it is possible, whatever we are, intellectual or emotional, shallow life, a bourgeois existence, middle class outlook on the whole of life, whether it is possible to change at all. So we're going to investigate together, invest together. You understand that word, the meaning of that word? When we are exploring together, means that you must also share. You must also be very serious to find out for yourself whether it is possible to change. And this change cannot take place except in relationship. You cannot go away into isolation and try to dissolve all your troubles. It can only be solved in relationship, because it's only in relationship that you discover all your troubles, all your miseries, all your confusion. So together, you and I, because it's our problem, it's our misery, as this is our earth to live on, to be happy, to enjoy the beauty of nature, of life, not everlastingly live in sorrow, confusion, misery. So together we have to solve it. Together means relationship, right? You understand? So, don't you find when you observe in yourself that there are two active principles? One, fear, and the other is pleasure. Don't you find that? Pleasure in different forms. Whether that pleasure is to seek God or to become a great person politically, this way or that, ambitious, and so on. And don't you also find in yourself the active principle of fear going on? Don't you? These two things exist. We want more of the one, which is pleasure, and the less of the other, which is fear. Right? Now, sitting now there, you are really not frightened at this present moment. You have no fear at this actual moment. You may have that fear when you go back. But there, sitting, listening, you have no fear. But it's always there in the background. So you cannot possibly invite that fear and observe it. Right? You understand? You cannot say, well, I'm going to be frightened and let me look. But you can, through understanding attachment, come upon what it means to be afraid. Right? I said. As we said, fear and pleasure are our main movements, contradictory movements in life. And being afraid or be unconscious of fear, not being aware that one is afraid, we attach ourselves, we depend on people, on ideas, on your guru, or on your wife or husband. Don't you find that? That you depend on people. Not the postman, not the milkman, but depend on people around you. Or depend on somebody in whom you think you have confidence. Right? Don't you find you depend on people? Huh? So, what is involved in this dependence? First of all, there is no freedom when you depend on somebody. Whether it's your wife or your guru. There is no freedom. And when you depend on somebody, psychologically, inwardly, you're seeking comfort, sustenance, and when you depend on that person, you must possess that person. You must dominate that person or submit yourself to that person. And when you observe that you are dependent, you see that the source of this dependence is fear. Fear of not being able to stand alone, fear of making a mistake, fear of not following the right path, which is the guru, fear of not having comfort, not having somebody as a companion, not being able to depend on somebody. So, through dependence, you discover, as you are sitting now, you discover that you are really frightened. Without inviting fear, you discover that basically you are frightened. We are communicating with each other. Communication, as we said the other day, is to share together a common problem. This is our common problem. And when you depend on on a person, there must be inevitably not only fear, but jealousy, anxiety. So all that is involved in dependency. And can a mind be free of this dependency? Because people like to be possessed by another. Haven't you noticed it? They like to belong to somebody, belong to a group, commit themselves to a certain pattern of action, put on the same kind of yellow robe, because it gives them a sense of security, a sense that they are leading a kind of righteous life. So, when you look into it very carefully, you will see for yourself the basis of all this is fear. Right? We are together, we are going together. It then arises the question, is it possible to be free of that fear? Not only the superficial fear in relationship and dependency, but the deep-rooted fear. Right? Are you asking this question with me? Which is, can you, as a human being, be completely free of fear? Because when you are afraid, you do the most extraordinary, stupid things. When you are afraid, you are almost unbalanced, neurotic. You can't think clearly, observe truly. Haven't you noticed your life becomes dark, heavy? It becomes a burden, a torture. And not knowing how to resolve this fear, we run away from it. Right? We run away doing the most absurd things. So, we're going to find out, whether it is possible to be free of fear. There is the fear of physical pain, right? You have had pain years ago or few days ago. Please listen to this carefully, because we've all had pain, physical pain. Agonizing pain or superficial pain, physical pain. And that pain has left a mark on the brain, right? Which is the memory of that pain which you have had 2 days ago or 2 years ago. And you don't want that pain to be repeated, right? So, what is taking place? You have had pain, and there is the memory of that pain, and you don't want it to happen again. You're following this? What takes place then? Having had physical pain, you don't want it repeated, and the idea that it might come back, in that idea there is fear, right? You think about yesterday's or 2 days ago pain, and you don't want it repeated. Thought, which is the response of memory, says, I don't want that pain again. Right? So physically, you cannot forget it. It is there. And as long as you think about it, you intensify the memory of that pain. And therefore, thinking about it increases fear of that pain. Right? You see that, don't you? Thinking about the past pain sustains that pain, and you may have that pain tomorrow, which is still the thinking about pain, and so thought says, I mustn't have pain. Right? So there is fear. So thought breeds fear. You've understood? I may lose my job. May, that is in the future. So I think about it, I may lose my job, so I get frightened. Right? I think about death, and thinking about it makes me afraid. So thought breeds fear, right? Not only the fear of the past, but also fear of the future. Unless you follow this very carefully, you won't, when you leave, be free of fear. Together we are going to work and see if you cannot totally be free of it. Then you will be a free man. And you can then put away all your gurus. You will then be able to think, see, live very clearly and in an ecstatic state. So you must together understand this question basically. So thought sustains, gives a continuity to psychological pain as well as physical pain, right? Now hold it, wait there, leave it there. You've had a great pleasure yesterday. Sensory pleasure, sexual pleasure, or the pleasure of seeing a beautiful tree, or the lovely sunset. The sunset, the shape and the beauty and the dignity and the strength of a marvelous tree, the pleasure that you have had, all that is recorded, isn't it? When you see a sunset, if you ever have taken the trouble to look, when you have looked, it is recorded on your brain. And when, after seeing it, or see at that moment, there is no sense of I want it to be repeated. There is just the experiencing of it. Then a second later, you say how beautiful that is. I want it repeated. You understand? The desire to have it repeated is the beginning of pleasure, right? You understand this? The desire to have a repetition of an event which has given a delight, the pursuit of it, the demanding further experiencing of it is pleasure, which again is thought, right? That is seeing the sunset, then thinking about it and wanting it to be repeated. That is pleasure, isn't it? Which is what you do when you have sexual pleasure. The repetition, the image, the thinking about it, chewing, all the rest of it, and wanting it again. Right? So thought, thinking, breeds fear as well as pleasure. Right? Thought gives continuity to fear and a continuity to pleasure. But when you have physical pain, yesterday or 2 years ago, to have it, finish with it, not record it. Do you understand? Then there is no continuity brought about by thinking about it. I'm going to go into that. Please listen to this. Because you see, sirs, we are human beings, not merely animals. We have to live intelligently. We have to live a marvelous, beautiful life. And if one lives in fear, which is anxiety, guilt, sense of failure, fear. Fear of the dark, fear of death, fear of losing your money, fear of not becoming a great man, fear of, dozens and dozens of forms of fear. But fear is the same, expressed in different ways. So thought nourishes, sustains, gives continuity to fear and pleasure. Right? So the question then is, can thought not end, but can thought, which has created such marvelous thing in the world, technology, all the marvelous medicine, science, what thought has done, and that very thought breeds fear, sustains fear and pleasure. You're following this? So, what is thought, and where should thought function completely, totally, rationally, sanely, and where should thought be completely quiet? You're following my question? Thought is the response of memory, right? Which is memory, knowledge, experience, stored up in the brain, and that memory responds as thought. The memory, the intelligence, the knowledge which has created the rocket which went to the moon, which has created the most marvelous technological things, the atom bomb, the aeroplane. You follow? It has done the most extraordinary things. And yet that very thought gives continuity to fear. And that very thought seeks pleasure, and that very pleasure becomes fear. Right? You see the difficulty? You need thought to function rationally, objectively, sanely, reasonably, logically. And also you see how thought continues to go on with fear, right? So I must find out why it is that thought always, if I can use the word interfere, when there is an experience of pleasure or pain. You're following this? Why thought, as one is experiencing something, either pain, physical pain, or psychological pain, why thought comes in and holds it. Right? Why? Are you asking the question too? You understand the problem, do you? Look, to be able to speak English, I must have a great deal of knowledge of English. Knowledge, memory, and all the rest of it. And thought is using the words in order to convey something. Right? Thought is using knowledge. And thought also uses knowledge which breeds fear. Right? Knowledge of pain of yesterday. Knowledge of the pleasure of yesterday. Right? So the question is, why does thought always avoid the one, which is fear, and hold on to pleasure? That's one question. Why does thought interfere when there is an experience. You understand? I have an experience of the sunset. And at that moment, there is no thinking at all. You are just looking at the beauty of that light. Then thought comes along and says, I want that repeated again tomorrow. Which is, knowledge as experience, which is pleasure, wanting to be repeated again. I've had pain, which is the remembrance of that pain, which is knowledge, and according to that knowledge, or depending on that knowledge, thought says, I don't want it. You follow? Thought is doing this all the time, functioning between pleasure and pain. And thought is responsible for both. Right? That is, are you all getting tired of this? This is your life, my friend. In this, there is no love. Pleasure is not love. Pleasure, desire is not love. We'll go into that if we have time. What love is. So knowledge, on the one hand, is essential. Otherwise you can't go home. Otherwise you can't talk your language. You can't invent. You can't construct if you're an engineer and so on. Knowledge is essential. And also, the knowledge of the pain of yesterday breeds fear. Right? So you have to find out, not be informed by the speaker, find out for yourself what it is that acts when thought is absent. You follow? You have understood my question? No, you haven't understood. Right. Now look, sir. We said at the beginning of the talk that we're going to look at our lives. Look, observe, examine, not run away from it. You are forced into a corner to look at it for a change. There is no escape. Sitting there, listening, there is no escape. Therefore you are facing life, your life. And when you are looking at it, you discover these two principles, fear and pleasure. Please follow this carefully. You discover it. You're not told by the speaker. You yourself have found it. And as we are sharing the problem together, you see the nature of fear and the nature of pleasure. You're not saying I mustn't have pleasure. You're not saying I mustn't have fear. We are investigating, understanding fear, understanding pleasure. We are not saying you must be without desire. or without fear. When you understand something, you will be free of it. And you can only understand it when you look at it, when you investigate it, when you learn about it. And we are learning together about fear. You're following this? We are learning together about fear, as we are learning together about pleasure. So, if you have followed from the beginning, observed all this, your mind, if you observe it, your mind has become very sensitive, right? Very alert, aware of this whole problem. Not completely, because to go into this whole question of fear, one can look at it immediately and understand it instantly. Not through analysis, but see it immediately. And when you have observed this, you find, don't you, that you have a mind that has learned, is learning. And therefore, it has become somewhat intelligent, right? Somewhat intelligent, because it's become sensitive about the problem, which before it has evaded. Now you are sensitive to the problem of fear and pleasure. Therefore you are learning about it. Therefore the mind, please listen, the mind that is learning about fear and pleasure has not learned the thing before, is learning now, not before. You understand what I'm saying? Oh Lord, listen. You follow, I want to convey this to you with my heart, you understand, sir? So that you get up from this place as human beings living, not eternally frightened. See, when you are learning about something, say like an Italian language, you don't know about it, do you? You are learning. Therefore, you come to it afresh. Your mind is blank with regard to Italian or Russian or whatever it is. You don't know it. Follow? You don't know it. You will only know it as you accumulate knowledge about Italian or Russian. But you start with not knowing. Now, you think you know about fear. You think you know about pleasure. But whereas you don't really know about it. So you are learning now. You see the difference? You are learning now. Therefore, a mind that is learning is an intelligent mind, not the mind that says, I have learnt, or I know what fear is. I don't know if you see this, do you? That is, a mind that is learning is an intelligent mind. Not the mind that says, oh, you know, tell me all about it. You are my guru, I'll follow. Stand on your head, dance, strip myself naked, do what you tell me, I'll do all that in order to go to heaven. Such a mind is a stupid mind. It cannot learn. It's a dead mind. It's a neurotic mind. But a mind that is learning, that's a mind that says, I don't know, I'm going to look at fear for the first time. I'm going to look at attachment for the first time. I'm going to find out for the first time what real pleasure is. I have accepted these as habit. You follow? Therefore, I never learn. On the contrary, I become more and more and more steeped in fear, getting more and more dull, stupid. So you see, when you are learning, your mind is awake, right? A mind that is awake is an intelligent mind. And it is this intelligence, please listen, it is this intelligence that says when you should use knowledge and when not. Right? You're following all this? Look, sir. Oh. I wish you're all sitting up here and I was there. Because you see, sirs, the speaker hasn't read a book about all this. Neither the Gita or the Upanishad, nor any philosophical, psychological, all books, books that pertain to the psyche of man. And one has to find the truth of all this for oneself. Truth isn't second hand. You can't get it through a guru, through a book. You have to learn about it. You understand, sir? Learn. And the beauty of the learning is that you don't know. You follow? You don't know what truth is. Don't pretend. Don't quote somebody. You really don't know. Therefore, learn about it. And to learn about it, one must come with a passion. You understand, sir? Passion, intensity to find out. So a mind that is learning is an intelligent mind, not the mind that repeats or caught in a habit. Oh, I'm caught in fear, I don't know what to do about it. Or saying a mind that says, I must have pleasure, more, more, more. So learning brings intelligence. As you have intelligence when you're a first-class engineer, right? Or a first-class non-governmental scientist, then such a person has intelligence. So we are learning. So you have, if you are really learning, not from me, together learning, then you have this extraordinary quality of intelligence. You can't buy from in any book. So, there is that question you are learning. Now we're going to learn together what love is. Learn, because you don't know what it means. You have used that word. You have repeated that word and loaded it with all kinds of formulas. Love is godly, love is sacred, love is not profane, Oh, loaded it with a lot of words, and you think you have understood it. Do you know what love being is? Do you? If you are really honest, not hypocritical, You would say, really, I don't know. I know what is jealousy. I know what is sexual pleasure, which I call love. I know all the agony that one goes through, what one calls love. But the nature of it, the beauty of it, the truth of it, you really don't know, do you? Be honest, for God's sake. Therefore, let's find out. Let's learn about it. You understand, sir? When you are learning, you have a fresh mind. Not an old mind, gone, withered, decayed. When you learn, you have a fresh mind. It doesn't matter what age you are. That's why tradition is such a deadly thing. It stops you from learning. So what is love? Don't form an opinion about it. Don't have a formula. Then you've already stopped learning. You understand? So what is love? Now we're going to find out. You must find out, not just say, well, I've learned verbally what it means, which is not love at all. When you live here, it must be boiling in you. What is love? Is it pleasure? Is it desire? Is it the product of thought? Is it the love of God and the hate of man? Right? That's what you do, don't you? You love God and you kick your fellow man. You love the politician. Oh, not the politician perhaps, but you love your boss. You love your wife. Do you really love your wife? Do you? Yes? What does that mean? When you love something, you care for it. Do you love your children? You understand, sir? Do you love your children? Which means what? That you care for them. Not only when they're little babies, but as they grow older, to see that they have right education. Right? Right education. When you love them, you will see that you're not only concerned merely that they should have a safe job, get married and settle down, to follow your generation. And what is your generation? What have you produced? What have you made of this world? So, love is not jealousy, is it? Right? You're following this? Love is not jealousy. An ambitious man can never understand what love is. Can he? Can he? An aggressive man, can he? A violent man, can he understand what love is? And you are violent, aggressive, ambitious, competitive. Right? That's a fact, isn't it? So what you call love is pleasure. right? And your family is a deadly thing. No? You say you love your family. You know what it means to love somebody? It means no division. Not your family. You understand, sir? Your family is a deadly, inclusive, corrupt thing. Because that's all you know. That family is against everybody else. How can you love your wife or your children when you are ambitious? When you, in your office, cheating, business, wanting bigger position, more, playing up to the big man, violent. How can you love? Therefore, to find out what love is, approach it negatively. Negatively means don't be ambitious. Go into it, sirs. You say, if I'm not ambitious, I'll be destroyed by this world. Be destroyed by this world. It's a stupid world anyhow. It's a monstrous, immoral world. If you really want to find out the beauty, the real quality of that love, you must deny all the virtue which man has cultivated. Which is what you have cultivated is ambition, is greed, is envy, is competition. Holding on to your little self and your little family. Your family is yourself, and therefore you love that family. You have identified yourself with the family, which means you love yourself, not the family, not your children. If you really loved your children, the world would be different tomorrow. You would have no wars, sir. You don't know what. So, to find out what love is, you must put aside what it is not. Right? And you won't, will you? Will you do it? You see? You will do anything but that. You'll go to the temples, you'll go to the guru, you will read endless sacred books, repeat mantras, play tricks upon yourself. And you will talk about love of God, your devotion to your guru, and all that tommy rot. But you won't do one thing, which is to say, find out what it means to love. Find out for yourself what it means to be aggressive. In the family you are aggressive, dominating, possessive, all very subtly done. You know the game you all play. So, a man who has not loved but the things made by thought in his heart will make a monstrous world, will put together a society that is totally immoral, That's what you have done. So to find out, you must undo everything that you have done. Not through time, not taking several, I'll gradually undo it. That's another trick of your mind. That is, then you say it's my karma, you know, all the tricks. When you really understand aggression, how terrible it is in a little way or in a big way, you drop it instantly. And in that dropping there is great beauty. And also, one has to find out what it means to die. You know nothing about death, do you? Do you? You have seen death. You have seen people die, carried to the grave or to the being, you know, all that. You have seen people die. So you don't know what it means to die. Do you? You have theories about death. You have beliefs about death. Oh, you'll say, yes, I believe in reincarnation. What will happen after death? Right? You all believe in reincarnation, don't you? No? Oh, my Lord, you're all... We do. Do you know what that means? Reincarnation. Listen to it, sir. Quietly listen. That you will be born next life. Right? Incarnate. What is you? You have assumed you will be born, and you believe in that. What is you? The bank account? The house? The job? The memories? The quarrels? The anxiety? The pain? The fear? Isn't that all you? Right? Do you deny all that? That's you? Or do you say that me is something much greater than that? If you say the me is not my furniture, not my body, not my family, not my job, but something far superior. Now, when you say there is something far superior than all this, who says it? And how do you know there is something far superior? It's still thought that has thought and says there is something far superior than this. Thought, hasn't it? Right? Thought. So the thing that is far superior, the superego, the Atman, you know, all that business, is still within the field of time, isn't it? Because it's still within the field of thought. And thought is you, your furniture, your bank account, your attachment to your family, to your nation, to your books, to your works, to your unfulfilled desires. You're all that. And you say, when I die, all this rubbish goes back and born next life. And if you really believed, actually, with your heart, not with your shallow little mind, if you really thought that next life you will incarnate, do you know what it means? It means that you will live today completely. Because what you do today is going to pay for it tomorrow. Next life. Right? Because you believe in karma. So you don't believe in anything. They're just words. Because by your conduct, by your behavior, the way you love your family, so you know nothing about death, do you? Huh? Whether it is what it is, beautiful, ugly, disastrous, whether the whole thing ends when you die. When you die, you're going to lose your bank account. You can't take it with you. You may have it till the last minute. And most people want it till the last minute. But you're, it's quite funny, isn't it? So you really know nothing about it. So let us learn about it, shall we? Learn. Not repeat what the speaker says. Because you will find if you repeat what the speaker says, it is nothing. Just words. The physical organism dies, obviously. Right? The scientists may give it another 50 years longer. And at the end of it, it dies because it's being constantly used and misused, right? It has great many strains, pressures. It has been abused through drinks, drug, wrong eating, the constant battle. All that has put a tension on it. The heart failures, and the disease. The body will die. And what else will die? You're following? What else will die with the body? Your furniture, your knowledge, all your hopes, despairs, your fulfillment. Is that going to die? So what is death? Please learn. We're learning together. To find out what it means, you must die, mustn't you? You, with your ambitions, you must die. Die to your ambition. You understand, sir? Die to your desire for power, position, prestige. Die to your habits, your traditions. Die, you understand? Don't argue. You can't argue with death. You can't say, please give me a few more days. I haven't finished my book. I want to have another child. You can't argue. So don't argue. Don't justify. Don't say, this must be just give up. Die to one thing completely. You understand, sir? Die to one thing so completely. To your vanity. To your aspirations. To your images about yourself. Or about your guru, or about your wife. End it. Then you will see what it means to die. Then you will know what a mind that is dead to the past. It is only such a mind that ends every day to everything that it has learnt. It's only such a mind that goes beyond time. Now, sirs, you have listened. You have listened and therefore learned what fear is, what pleasure is. And if you have learned about those two, then you will know what love is. And love is that quality of mind. Mind means the brain, the heart, the whole thing, in which there is no division, which means there is no fragmentation in oneself. So when you have done this, you will have a marvelous mind, a clear heart. And when you leave here this evening, learn all that you have learned today and die to it. You understand? Die to everything that you have learned this evening, so that tomorrow morning you are fresh again. Otherwise, if you carried all the burden of today to tomorrow, then you give continuity to fear. So end each day. You understand, sir? And you will know the beauty of life, the beauty of truth. Then you will have nothing to learn from anybody, because you are learning.